Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world. Welcome to Thoughtful Nuggets and Pearls on Gift of Healing TV. I'm Sara Jane, and I am delighted to be joined. I don't know what's going with my words this evening. To be joined by Simon McDougall. Simon, thank you so much for joining me for this conversation tonight.
You're welcome.
Right, Simon is actually a coach and a confidence coach and a speaking coach, and so our topic for this program is finding your voice. And I think it is an important one, isn't it, Simon, for us to be able to really express ourselves without getting tongue-tied. It is really important for us all to be able to speak from our truth, from our feelings, from our experiences, from our awarenesses and understandings.
Yeah, it certainly is. And it's, you see, I'm a public speaking coach, and I help people to find their voice so that they can go on and speak on stage, speak confidently on social media. But for me also, finding my voice, I've got a history of anxiety and depression since my early teens. And as a man, I worked and grew up in an all-male culture. You got to grow up here, you got to man up, you got to do this, you got to do that. And there's that masculinity culture with me. And it wasn't until I was on the verge of a nervous breakdown in 2007 that I finally started opening up. And I did counselling and other things. And since then, I found that the more I talk about it, and I talk my truth, as you say, the better I feel. And for me, it's the most powerful thing I've ever done is to open up and tell my mental health, my story of my mental illness journey. I still get bad days. Most of the time, I'm in really, really good shape because I learned one thing. When you got control of your thoughts and you realise that, then you start to turn the corner, and finding your voice is all part of that. It doesn't matter whether you're in a family situation and you need to speak up because you know something is wrong. It's having the confidence to do that. And I work around confidence. I work around people. I've got mental illness struggles, and I also help people to speak.
Yeah, and it is about having that confidence to speak up. And I totally get it. I come from a different perspective because we were obviously talking before the program started. My insecurities from childhood meant that I was very afraid to speak. And especially if it meant that I might upset somebody because I became a people pleaser. And I think for me, the biggest enlightenment, if you like, was because I was a people pleaser, because I worried about what other people thought about me, was that actual understanding that the majority of the time they're not thinking about me. And it's also understanding that other people's reaction to you is their stuff. Is it Anthony Hopkins that says it's none of my business what you think of me? Mm. And it's finding that confidence to realize that you are allowed to say your piece in your way. But it's about being honest and fair and kind and considerate, but still standing up for yourself.
Yeah, no, definitely. Funny enough, you used the Anthony Hopkins quote there. Up on my wall, I've got in big red letters, What other people think of me is not my business. And very often, when people lash out, it's very much about them and the issues that they've got rather than about you. And I can relate to where you were there, Sara Jane. Growing up like you, of a certain age where, everyone sat round the table. And I can remember conversations with my nan. Stupid boy, you don't know what you're talking about. Stop getting ideas above your station. Money's the root of all evil. You should be sitting there eating your dinner and being quiet and let the adults speak. And I think I spent most of my adult life trying to prove my nan wrong, because I've become very successful, particularly in the world of politics. When I first stood for election, it wasn't the same politics that my nan had. People like us don't go into politics, Simon. It's too far above our station. Well, I proved her wrong. And when she passed away, she left me a beautiful walnut desk, which she'd had in her family for many years. And when I became chairman of the local parish council, I used to put the chain of office in that desk and look up and say, Nan, you were wrong. Well, by the time my nan did pass away, she was very proud of what I was doing, what I was going, of what I was getting on with. I mean, my mum often used to say to me, your mouth's going to get you into trouble one day, Simon. I spent most of my life earning money with my voice, and I would continue to do so. But also she'd turn around and say to me, you may think that, Simon, but you don't say it. She's horrified at times. I mean, she'd read something that I'd said in the council meeting that was in the local paper. He said, how can you say that? And I used to turn around and say, you telling me that the man in the street or the woman in the street isn't actually saying that? Now, I grew up around that negativity. Money wasn't much in my family. Nobody other than my father held middle management in local government really earned any money, and my dad was probably the most successful person in the family till I come along. I think my daughter was going to surpass me. She graduates next month from university, be the first person in my family ever to go university. And I think it's very hard. You see, I'm one that can't keep quiet these days. If I think something's wrong, I'm going to say it. I will, however, do it with compassion, with consideration, and I will do it in the nicest possible way. I don't believe in running people down. I spent army training being told on a daily basis what a waste of space I am. I still passed out. So, I can relate to all of that. And I think finding your voice and being able to speak your truth, your mind, about being compassionate to other people, it really is good. I don't like conflict. I can't stand it. But sometimes things have to be, to quote a well-known politician, you have to grasp the nettle and get stung.
Going back to what happened, the things parents said, it was like, children should be seen and not heard. And it doesn't help. It doesn't help you. I've had a number of conversations with my own mother, and she said, so you mean we've got to be careful how we speak to children? And I said, yes, absolutely. And I keep hearing this thing, children are resilient. And I just, and it does. It upsets me that people think that, because your story, my story. When I think about I had physical trauma, and I heard what you said before we started, so the traumas that you went through, and because they were traumas, the traumas that we went through as children, we had no idea how to deal with those and cope with those. So we aren't resilient. We bury them. We bury them deep within us until hopefully at some stage in our adults, as when we're adults, because unfortunately it's not going to happen as children, but as adults, somebody will come along and they will help us to heal that trauma, heal that inner child, and support that child to feel loved, listened to, heard. Because once we feel that, we truly can find our voice. And it is that buried hurt and trauma that causes, in some people, actually a lot of health issues. You talk about sort of anxiety, etc. If we don't deal with it, it can come out in many other ways as well.
Yeah.
So supporting ourselves to feel totally loved. Now, please don't get me wrong. I do not condone the behavior of others, especially if it comes to any form of abuse. I really do not condone that behavior. But sometimes it is a matter of trying to look at the bigger picture. If it is a family situation, and thinking, what did my parents experience as children? What did they witness as children? Because what we witness and experience as children, and that goes for all those words of children should be seen and not heard, shut up, you're stupid, and all those silly things, go away, you have no idea what you're talking about. All those things really don't help us to find our voice. All of those things helping us to let go of all of that, supporting us to let go of those things, unlearning those learned behaviors of insecurity, so that we can move forward with a confidence today. And you talking about sort of different things that you're sort of saying, you can't say things like that. I've had that said to me too. I was at a fair, an event, and somebody came up. I was talking to them, and my friend, partner in the house, my friend said to me, "You can't talk to people like that." And it was, yeah, I can, because I say it from a place of compassion and caring, and it's an open honesty. And I remember that happening on one occasion. And I got a phone call after the event. And this lady rang me and she said, "I was so cross with you." And I thought, oh dear, what's coming? And she said, "Then I thought about it. And you're the only person who's been honest with me." Mm-hmm. So maybe it is time we were all honest with ourselves. What is stopping us from finding our voice? Think about what's happened in your life, because you are, each and every one of us is so much more than all the things that were said to us as a child that are most likely to be remembered. If you've had a childhood of praise, I am so pleased for you. But many of us haven't had a childhood of praise. And it may be that they only wait till we're adults, as with you, to actually say how proud they are of us. And we could have got there so much quicker.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. I mean, whatever I did, whatever I achieved at school was never enough. I got very little praise. I mean, for argument's sake, I got anxiety and depression in my teens. And that was a real traumatic time for me. I lost my uncle when I was 12 and was just in adolescence at that time. And in them days, you didn't go to a funeral. Children, they thought they were better off protecting you, keeping you away for such things until you become an adult. In my case, it caused trauma untold. And every time I had dark moments, things went wrong, it always came back to that point. And I didn't realise, well, nearly 40 years later, I hadn't said goodbye. Fortunately for me, the graveyard where he's at is only a mile and a half up the road. So I went down there, spent 45 minutes, an hour there, talking to him, saying goodbye, and I felt a lot better for that. Children aren't as resilient as you think. And at times it's very, very difficult. I mean, there was that situation. Also, during that time, my mum's got non-progressive multiple sclerosis. And in my last year of primary school and in the year 5 years later when I did the exam, she was wheelchair bound for 6 months. We had to teach her to feed herself. We had to teach her to read and write again and get back to where it was. So, I was a sick parent and I was dealing with that. And I went through, as I said, bullied earlier, in school, purely and simply because I wore glasses. And it was a very difficult time. I mean, I dealt with the army and I'm very resilient, and I've been very resilient in my life. But behind the scenes, I've been a broken man at times. So I really struggled with anger issues, bitterness, frustration, feeling like I wasn't good enough, and I turned to other things. I smoked, I drank quite heavily at times, and you numb it. But now, because I'm an open book and I'm open to looking and learning, I'm ready to go back and heal that now, because I know that my parents did the best by me and I can't moan about that. But when I needed that little bit of support, they weren't able to because of other circumstances to give me the support I need. And funny enough, right away throughout adulthood, they've done far more for my sister than they've had to need do to me. But as they're getting older now, the person they're leaning on for support is me. And, it's quite interesting how the circle comes back round in the end. And I think those wounds can be quite deep, if I'm honest. And, it's only now that I'm starting to recognise that. And I am about to start working with someone to feel that energy and let that move through me now, and, move to a far, far better place than where I've been. I think you've got to be open to it and you've got to be ready for it. Nobody can force it on you. You've got to know instinctively yourself what's inside. And as I said, there was a post that came out on Facebook last week, and suddenly it was just a comment about a child being bullied at school, and I thought, oh my God, that's what the problem is.
Yeah. And actually, one of the things that is really good to do is to find the courage to share your story, whatever your story may be. find your voice, to seek support. When I started realizing exactly what had been going on in my life, the wake-up call came. I went to the doctor and said, I would like to go to a therapist. I just wished to understand what had been going on, why I had lived my life the way I had as a people pleaser, why I felt so insecure. Now, I know people can go to psychotherapists for years. I actually only went for 10 months and I actually had to stop because I was moving, several hours away. So, but she said to me, she said, you have achieved more in this time than most people achieve in 2 years. Because I asked, I was totally open to being, okay, what do you need from me? What can you support me with? How can help me to understand? That's all that I wished, was to understand why I had been the way I'd been. And my story, and it was understanding that what had happened to me in my early years had kept me silent, very wary. If I was in a room full of people, all I wanted the room to do was either the floor to open up or to be able to sink back in the wall and disappear, because that is how insecure I was. In spite, you've achieved. In spite of the fact I achieved area manager in retail, I then worked as a consumer services manager within some toy companies. I wasn't a shop assistant all my life or a barmaid all my life. I've done those as well, or a waitress all my life. I wasn't that. I've done those, but I have achieved in my life as well, even if from that place of insecurity. Achievement doesn't mean we've lost the insecurity. It just means that we've been able to put on sufficient of a front of confidence that we haven't got inside. And, and I don't know about you, but the place I was happiest was on my own.
Yeah, that's probably true. I do like my own company. I enjoy it. And, I work from home, as you do, in front of a computer. I'm talking to people as I'm talking now. And, I do enjoy my own company. I do like to sit with whatever's going on too, a little bit of meditation at times, just to understand where I am, how I'm feeling inside. And, I think, finding that voice in that situation is absolute. I think it's critical that something's gone right. Hold on.
Are you all right?
Yeah, something flashed up on my computer and I lost it for a minute. I clicked something I shouldn't have done.
You're still with me?
Yeah, definitely. It's just a case of, if you find your voice and you're able to speak out and you're able to understand your journey, it's important. As I was saying in the presentation this morning, you've all got a story. You've all got a why somewhere along the line, even if it's just doing the best by your family and, supporting your children. It's still a why. Your why is your family. My why's slightly bigger than that, but that's the size of the point. We've all got a story and you've got to be able to tell it. And it really occurred to me, as I say, with the toxic masculinity code, that if I don't speak out and men my age do not speak out, then the next generation of men are going to suffer exactly the same way as we did. Unfortunately, this generation seems to be are completely totally different ilk. They seem to be switched on to mental health. They seem to be switched on to mental well-being, and they do seem to be talking about it more and more and more. And that is the best thing they can possibly do. Possibly because with my daughter, when she was growing up, we were always supportive. We were always praising her, and we've allowed her to bloom to the personality she is today. And she's a lovely person. My son was a troubled teenager, and I had a troubled childhood because my ex-wife was an alcoholic. I didn't understand alcoholism at that time. I didn't realise that it was an illness, but both her parents were also alcoholics too, and he had a horrendous childhood. And rightly or wrongly, I thought, well, the child's best with their mother. And sometimes it's possibly the biggest regret that I never went for full custody first and foremost at that time. But very, very difficult. But again, even with all these struggles, I've been there, I've supported him, I've tried to guide him, but he's his own person. He'll do what he wants to do and when he wants to do it, and I accept that. And my daughter does the same, And I think praising a child is far, far better and having compassion than certainly the regimes that we were all brought up in.
Oh, but we're coming towards the end, but yes, praising children so that we're not actually repeating, but praise them for the things that they're good at.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And even if it's something they enjoy but they aren't too good at, most of the point is they're getting pleasure out of it.
Yeah.
Praise them, support them, encourage them. But what I would say to you as an adult is praise yourself. Don't wait for other people to do it to you, for you.
Yeah.
Whatever and I do that. I am suggesting this from a place of I do this for myself. At lunchtime, well done. Do you've done really well this morning. You got through quite a bit this morning. Excellent. When I go to bed at night, you've had a really good day today. I'm really proud of you. Excellent. And I'm finding I'm achieving more and more slowly, but because I praise myself on a daily basis. I'm not talking I'll do it once a week. And do you know what? If you're going through anxiety, depression, something, you're not well, and the only thing you manage is to get out of bed, praise yourself for it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how little, how much you get done in a day, you do in a day, you achieve in a day. Praise yourself. It's like gratitude. The more you are grateful for things, the more you have to be grateful for. The more you praise yourself, the more you have to praise yourself for. Especially if you're somebody who lives on your own, you've got nobody else to say, well done at the end of the day. And I don't care whether you're self-employed or whether you work in an office. You praise yourself. Do it for yourself.
Yeah.
And so, Simon, obviously, as I said, coming to a close, is there anything you'd like to add? And we'll share your website as well before we finish.
Yeah, no, I suppose the only thing I'd like to add to that is, you hit the nail on the head. When you're rock bottom, getting out of bed in the morning is often the hardest thing to do. And, at times when I was really bad, if I got out of bed, managed to have a shower, clean my teeth and had a shave, I've had a good day. Because first thing that tends to go when you're in that state is your personal appearance. You don't even care about yourself. And if you're giving yourself self-praise every day, then absolutely acknowledge yourself, because recognition can be too far beyond sometimes. But even the simple thank you doesn't come very often from employers, I've found over the years, whereas I go in a shop, I get served, I always say thank you, goodbye, etc. And, you know, I think that goes a long way for shop assistants at times. Anyway, thank you very much for having me, Sara Jane. I really enjoyed this.
Oh, thank you, Simon, for joining us. And Simon's website is changeourculture.com.
Yep.
It's up in the chat. And if anybody's got a quick question, please ask it now. Otherwise, we're off. So changeourculture.com. I will put that on. If you're watching the video on YouTube, I'll make sure that it's underneath the video so that you can connect. And I'll make sure mine is Gift of Healing TV so that you can check out more. Thanks, Simon. Thank you so much for sharing. It has been a real pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for opening up to us.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Excellent. Just to let you know, Wednesday next week, today's conversation, Arcturian affirmations with Patricia Iris Kerrins. And then the following Wednesday, 29th of June, another thoughtful nuggets and pearls, creating new earth with Sara Jane. So I hope that you will join us for those. Simon, thank you. Take care. Be safe. Stay well.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.